Well, welcome to another edition of GW Unspoken, where we discuss stuff we don't typically talk about, but probably should. And I want to start a series off now and get people to think a little bit differently about either their parenting style, but also maybe how they connect with others, whether it be in the household or with their peers or at work. And I suppose this has come across because there's been a lot of feedback coming back on the Innate Code. And the Innate Code is a business we're running that talks about holistic health and how we can get ourselves on track. And we talked about nutrition, movement, the importance of mindfulness and lack of technology, how we can build community and culture, the importance of sleep, gratefulness, and also purpose and leadership. And I want to put all those in together in a series that is short and sharp and direct to the point, and hopefully give you some skills and strategies that have been research, I suppose, driven, but also how we can put them together from a variety of aspects. And I'd love your feedback to see if this helps you. I've been reading a book recently called Be a Parent, Not a Power, and it's from Dr. Jeff Kemp, and it's so crazy. It's 2010 he wrote this book, and he talked about how back then, like we're talking nearly 14 years ago, where brains and bodies don't mature at the same time, and they're significantly different. And we probably presume that because of the way food is different and it's not the same nutrients out of the soil, and a lot of things are modified. And so our bodies become mature earlier, but our minds don't keep up because our brains aren't mature. And especially for boys or young men, it's still a longer delay. And so the risk of more testosterone and higher risk, wanting more risk, can even have more dangers. So I guess people aren't maturing as much as their chronological age is, both physically and mentally. And so that massive divide is causing more parental conflicts and probably conflicts in the workplace for our younger teens especially. And also that means it's more stressful households. So it got me thinking about, how can we actually change that? How can we help our parent styles or our communication styles between employees or our friendship groups? And what are some strategies? And it was quite ironic because a good mate of mine now who's helped me set up the business has put me onto a book called Building a Story Brand. And it was from Donald Miller. And it was all about business, and it was about how, you've got to build a story, and the importance is that, there's four parts of the story. There's always going to be a victim or a villain or a hero and a guide, and people have been attracted to story. And I thought it's exactly the same as parenting. It's exactly the same as our communication styles or our skills that we have or we don't have with people. So I want you to stay with me for a sec. I want to try and put these together, and hopefully it communicates well where you can actually, I guess, make that gap and join those dots. Because I believe that if we use the story brand approach, it's about leadership. It's about being the guide. It's about empathy and understanding, but also authority and competency. And we need that in our relationships, whether it be at work or whether it be with our families. Accompanied that too is from Diana Bermrind, and she talked about the 4 parenting styles in psychology. And she said there's an authoritative style, which is 46% of people, roughly authoritarian style, 26%, permissive, 18%, neglectful, 10%. And they're all numbers and they all mean things, and I'll draw them together at the end. But the point is this. I think if we can draw across those 3 theorists, we can probably challenge the ways we look at relationships. And I want you to think about that right now. I want you to think about with your relationships right now, with a significant other. It might be an intimate relationship where you're a teen and thinking about your relationship with a sibling or a parent or a caregiver. Whether you're a CEO of a company or an employer, how you're working with other, I suppose, communities or high-end conversations to seal a deal, or with your staff, or parents out there, parents and guardians. Maybe this is something you can sort of, have you get sick of having sick and tired of being sick and tired of the same relationship problems? You feel like you haven't signed up for this, and it only makes you feel more stressed and more worried. And you think, what the heck? Why has things changed? Why can't I get back to just normality? And then it's actually stressing out my whole day. Well, I want you to think about this. I want you to think about whether in your relationships at the moment, are you acting like a victim? Are you acting like a villain? Are you trying to be the hero of the household or where you are at your workplace or with your friends? Or are you trying to be the guide? And that's a challenge. The challenge is for us to be the guide, the one who can actually help people and mentor people along the way. So I'd love you to stay tuned. There's going to be a 4-part series. This is the first one, just introduction. I want you to challenge now. I want you to think about the people in your life. I want you to think about the people who you know in your circle. Chronological age versus maturation. The massive divide that is happening between most parents and their children, whether it be teens or children or young child. Are households getting more stressful? Are people wearing larger masks? How many times you go on Facebook and you see people go, mate, they portray a massive, 90% of success here and they're happy and excited. But deep down, you know these people and you think, hang on, they're actually not happy. They've just got their mask on. Well, maybe this is a way. Maybe this is a way you can stay tuned and think about how this can actually change your relationships and your connectivity. And I'd love to hear your feedback, but I'd love to also see if you'd like to get something out of this and it actually is something for you. So stay tuned and thank you for joining us for GW Unspoken.